the gods, the godly beings, the messengers of gods, every single one of them, described in every single one of the religious texts, live within us. I meditated in solitude for 53 days. And it is there I realized that what is described in the religion, this is God Ganesh, this is thalamus, a brain organ called thalamus. You will see better image if you Google thalamus, so you can see from one view, anterior view or posterior view or lateral view, one view will provide, because science is restricted to give us the three-dimensional shape. So you can provide, it can give us the proper elephant trunk, elephant belly from different views, you can see. Not only that, the functionality, the shape, the form, the activities, and the interrelations and origin that science observe of an organ will perfectly match what is described as gods and godly beings. Because of the laws of nature, that what existed in the earliest moment, you can see the cross. This is another organ, look the same within us, like cross. Whatever took place in the very earliest moment, to this very moment, have to repeat within us in order for continuation and variation to take place, in order for to take place. Therefore, they are within us. You don't have to blindly follow. They have given us the method to confirm what they have told us is truth in every single one of the religion, be it the Bible, the Quran, the Vedas, the Puranas, the Buddhist teachings, the Hindu teachings, every single one of them. The Jains, the Sikhs, every single one of them, the ancient mythologies, every figurehead mentioned in the religious text as existed in the earliest moment. And also the other nature, such as this is tree of life. This is not actually the tree of life. This is the image of an organ at the back of our head called arbor vitae. Arbor vitae translated to English means tree of life, because it matched exactly the description of tree of life provided in the Genesis, in the Bible. Genesis Bible describes us how the world was created in 6 days. You will find as the moment after we are conceived, as the neural tube begin to expand, you will find that repeat the whole thing, repeat again, because of there are few natural laws that we need to be aware why all these things take place within us. The first law is the law of reproduction. The fundamental law of reproduction, be it the product or the life. Every single process that take place, say in order to create a car, produce a car, every single one of the process that has taken place here have to be repeated in order to duplicate the car. But most importantly, every single one of the machineries, tools, equipment, and including the supply, such as electricity, that is here, have to be here in order to duplicate the process. So we have the end result is the same model car. When we are recreating life, everything that took place in the very earliest moment as an external existence take place within us when the life is recreated again. Because the rule number two is the existential experiences of this present moment in the successive moment become past and internal. That's why the intermediary world that is within us, as Om Stanley explained, that's why a fish can swim and a bird can fly. The most important thing here now is our health. That is what I would like to talk about here. Every single one of the gods and godly beings, we can say that they exist within us. There are two ways to observe nature from the very beginning to now. One is the mechanical observation that science progressively trying to understand. But science can never and will never perceive light. It has never perceived light before or seen light before. Because as long as it's resorting to tools, it can never perceive light. That's why religions were given, religious texts were given to explain we are not just particles, chemicals, and compounds. Every single one of the organs within us, they perceive themselves as such, in such way. Every single one of the neurons, actin filaments, cell bodies, cranial sacral bodies, organs in the cranial sacral, every single one within us, they do not see themselves as cells or neurons or particles. They perceive themselves as, like you and I perceive ourselves, and all the creatures that perceive themselves as. That is what science gives, religious texts give us. You don't have to blindly follow it. Religions, you don't have to blindly follow it because that is not being tested. But religion, along with their text, gave us a practical method to confirm what they have said is true. That practical method is fasting. The way we normally fast, extremely beneficial and highly rewarding. But there is another level in the fasting. It is if we follow to the word. May your thought be seated on God while you are fasting. Not intermittently, every single moment while you are fasting. Some of the fasting, Ramadan, Passover, Lent, Buddhist fasting period, Hindu fasting period, Sikh, Jain fasting periods, and many ancient other religious fasting periods. They are more than 30 and 40 days. Every single moment, moment after moment, day after day, throughout the period, if your mind is rested on God, what you see, you become aware of your existence, what they call heaven here. Through my own experiences, I can tell you with assurity. Do it, you will find it. If you don't have time to do so, that's fine. Because there is science, you can resort to science. Hypothalamic pituitary stalk, science observed. We see in ancient religions as Holy Grail, or in Hinduism, Akshaya Patra, from everything is provided. This world inside is living as the world outside. And there are three other worlds living within us, not just one. That's what Om stands to explain. Om is revered by the Buddhists, the Hindus, the Jains, the Sikhs, and many other religions in the Indian continent, revered by. Om describes external world of consciousness, internal world of consciousness, the world of the God called Prajna, or external world of consciousness, intermediary world of consciousness, the world of the gods, and then the final state is liberation. The shape will match the same here. The brain ventricles, the twin shape, and then the continuation here. But if you look at it from the other view, you can see it's twin. The same twin shape, because there's only one past. No matter what religion you belong to, that past have to be the same. The twin cherubs in Ark of Testimony, where God is directing Moses to build. So this rule number 2. What is external in the very successive moment become internal and past only when you are looking from outside. When you shift your awareness to that world, it becomes external experiences again. There are no such thing as mind can never perceive anything as internal experience. When we go into the dream, it's external experience. When we go into the world of the gods, external experience. Even when we pass that and reach the final state, external experience, which is being aware of nothingness. Nothingness is the only thing that is external and internal. Aware of nothingness. From there, everything. Buddha never taught against Hinduism. When he was approached, he is the man of Satya. Satya is the truthfulness. He would never lie. When he was confronted by the religious leaders of other religion, asking him, "Are you teaching against our religion?" His words were no. He was met by the God of creation, Mahabrahma. How can he say that he doesn't believe in gods? What he was concentrating is the final state, to get people to get to the final state, the state of Brahma. Here, in Hinduism, Vaishvanara, Tejasa, Prajna, and in the state of the Brahman, according to the Mandukya Upanishad. He only concentrated on that, where he taught the same as there, here, Sravaka, Bodhisattva, Pratyeka Buddha, and Nirvana, or the Buddhahood itself. Same thing. There are no variations. God Brahma, this is the words of Buddha. God Brahma appeared in front of him and asked him to go back and teach what he has learned. There is no way, there won't be variation. You can take control of your mind, and you can really resolve so much of issues with your mind, because mechanically observing science provides us one way to treat ourselves. But existential experiences, there are other ways also to support the treatment. You need to take control of, connect with yourself, connect with the gods and godly beings, then you can treat. This is in the Sistine Chapel. You can see this is drawn 300, 400 years ago, the study shows. Two scientists recently found this image hidden in the Sistine Chapel in Vatican, where the God of Bible reaching out to Adam. The shape of God of Bible, where he's seated, that the same scientists who were studying all the images found matching the same brain ventricle that we saw as Ark of Testimony and Om. There's only one reality. And because of the laws of reproduction, and then external become internal, and then past become present as the time lapses. That's what karma explains. We will come to that another time, but let's see. There's no better knowledge than passing on to the humanity when it gets lost, because that's the only way to see this truth is following the practical method, fasting for over 30 or 40 days. And we cannot do that if we are being around people or doing other things moment after moment, day after day. If the thought is to be seated on, if it's through the Ramadan, thought to be seated on Allah, you need to go into solitude, no other thoughts, no other activities, and just repeat on that prayers to Allah throughout the Ramadan period of Ramadan. You are sure to witness. They never ask us to just blindly. They didn't give us the religious text and say just blindly believe in it. They didn't say it clearly, but they have given us the method. They didn't say just blindly believe in it, don't question it. That's the mind of those who doesn't have complete understanding of their own religious text. You follow this method, you will witness them either going into solitude, or like our ancient ancestors did, go into wilderness or into the caves and just focus on that thought. You will witness it yourself. Only mind can witness that. Very important practice. So there is no better knowledge than letting the future know. There are four worlds that we exist. The intermediary world, where the past lapses and become present. That's what the dream is. When I see my grandfather after 40 years after 40 years after he passed away, I saw my grandfather recently. That need to be explained. Calling that an apparent reality is or mind reflecting on the memory, highly generalized. How is it reflecting? Where did it come from, that thought? Where is that image is located? What is its relevance to my existence or to my grandfather's existence? Because this world is filled with so many tracks of life. There is nothing here that is chemicals and particles. Every single one of them, where there is potential life, they all perceive themselves as such and such. We are restricted to see other tracks of life. The karmic cycle, the contradiction that those who doesn't understand the entirety of it, they claim, oh, this is karmic cycle, karma explained there, and here it's ashes to ashes, therefore we are different. We are not different. In our world of track, that is the end of my grandfather, ashes to ashes. But I see him in the other tracks. That's what karmic cycle explained, where he was, including that, everything else. If I saw something outside, they are inside of me. Rule number 3 in nature. Science need to observe that very carefully. Nothing that we see in our dream cannot exist outside. Nothing that we see in our dream cannot exist outside. That's against the law of nature. There's a closed circuit as it observed. So it has to be inside us. It has to be local for mind to process and project and relate itself to. The sun, the moon, everything. Whatever science sees looks like. See, it looked like tree of life, we called it tree of life. There are star cells, look like star cells, it's called it star cells. Looks like quail, it calls it quail. They are not just looks like, they are the reality. Everything outside exists within us. Points of processes are every life form. Let's come to our health now. Every single one of the gods and godly beings, not only Ganeshan. So here you can see also, let's finish this. The twin ventricles match the twin large. The twin large ventricles match the twin premiers. The third one is the world of the gods. The fourth one, science thinks that a lot of academics claim that maybe they didn't get to finish it because they are very small and in portion and separated. No, they finished it to completely duplicate the brain ventricles. Because the fourth brain ventricle is also made of portions. Complete duplication. Science will know. There is no ifs and buts about it. Complete duplication of all. And the study shows that Nile used to run through here. And science observed cerebral spinal fluid. The holy river Nile used to run through there. Holy river Nile is actually to depict. They built it in that spot because so that it correlates to the cerebral spinal fluid. The same cerebral spinal fluid here matched the holy river Nile. We saw the ark of testimony here. We saw the Om. We saw Ganesh, God Ganesh. We saw the hypothalamic pituitary, the thing. Everything will be here. The Garden of Eden, where the tree of life is located when Adam and Eve was created and sent down to earth. Earth is at the end of the spine. This is the heaven, end of the spine. It's a new world. Everything inside, when we see it as living, this is what we see. At the end of the spine, this world is reflective. Each are reflective of each other. The internal world, the earth chakra. It's called earth chakra because so many tracks of worlds actually is connected through that earth chakra. So is every chakra, every tracks of world and every tracks of process in the world connected through here. When we see all this evidence, if there's one or two matching, then you can say maybe it's a hypothetical correlation. But when every single one of them are matching, we have a serious literature in our hand. We need to be serious about it. Ask questions and follow the method that is provided. It should have been followed. But gods and godly beings are here. They decide, collectively or individually. They decide who have what, when the world has what, who doesn't have what, the illness and all that. But when we are connected with them, the solution is different. there. So the Holy Spring described as running in the first 6 days of the world was created, the universe was created. The Holy Spring. Not Holy Spring, the Holy Spring running. In the first 6 days through the Garden of Eden. You will find matching the cerebral spinal fluid again, running east to west and north to south. In some religious texts, this is described as north. At the end of the spine where the earth chakra is south. In some religious texts, it's called heaven, and at the end of the spine. If the earth is existing outside, and the earth is existing inside us. If everything that is matching here in heaven is here, there had to be something similar to it outside too, as an external experiences, existential experiences, externally. New world. I don't want to take too much of your time today. We will discuss that. But the trinities are actually also within us. The inseparable outer and inner dura mater, inseparable outer and inner dura mater. In the eyes of the enlightened, they are the inseparable Shakti and Shiva. God Shiva and Shakti. The holy river Ganges running out of his head and running down. It's the same cerebral spinal fluid. As we saw, the outer dura mater is Lord Shiva. The cerebral spinal fluid run outside through the matted hair or the outer dura mater and run down, projecting out through the outer dura mater and run down towards the south, toward the end of the spine, where the earth is. That's what he says described. From heaven to earth, or north to south, the holy river Ganges run. The snake around his neck, people used to laugh. The snake-shaped myelinated axons. We will see how the snake-shaped myelinated axons play roles with Mahavishnu as well. But the snake-shaped myelinated axons run across this area. The cerebrum in here, that matches the Kailash. In Kailash, you will find, if you Google brain organs, you will find there is a bull-shaped Nandi. We had to pass him to reach the Kailash, inside where the good shape inside us. There is a lion-shaped organ within us. There is an eagle-shaped organ with one leg up where Mahavishnu rides. We saw thalamus is God Ganesh. Underneath the thalamus, something called subthalamus. I will explain all this another time, but here I want to concentrate on the health of ourselves. Subthalamus, the same shape as the mouse. That is the vehicle of. Everything had to be inside. Because of the laws, the nature of law cannot be broken. They are here guiding us and protecting us. But just because we cut them and eat them, or operate them and manipulate them, mRNA or DNA or whatever it affects us, not them. It's a reflection. Our world is reflection. How it is? Jesus Christ said, we saw the cross. We saw the cross there. Even before Jesus Christ was crucified, and as he was going through, you can see the cross. That's within us too. That's the organ inside. Before he was crucified and going through all the pain, what he said was, I have to go through this so the scriptures can be true. What is scriptures? What took place in the earliest moment have to repeat itself here because of the laws of reproduction. The time frame, as it is said, we say, a lot of people ask, but they said we were created in 6 days. But science observed, after billions of years we are created. There are so many worlds have come and gone. But you will observe what took place in the 6 days will have to take place, and it does take place in the very first 6 days as the neural tube began to expand. The man and woman came on the 6th day. You will observe that. The man and woman will match at the earth. The man and woman will match on earth, which is at the end of the spine, will match the god of creation. As we have seen, the god of creation is the brain ventricles, before we saw. It's also described in a different Brahma, god of Nanmuhan. The pia mater, we saw the outer and inner dura mater in relation to the cerebrum, is Shiva and Shakti and the cerebrum. And the pia mater with the ventricular body gives us the shape of the god of creation. That's what we saw in the Sistine Chapel as well. Do you know, everywhere, in every mythology, and in every single one of the religion, God of creation is described as one with the beard. And in most of the religion and mythologies, he is also called the grandfather, including in Bhagavad Gita in Hinduism. Krishna says, I am not your grandfather, I am such and such. Same. Because the white pia mater, the triple meningeal layers, we are going to see that. First one we have seen, this is the second one. The white pia mater, soft white pia mater, gives the shape along with the brain ventricles, the god of creation. Here, the 4 brain ventricles, he's with the 4 heads. So the 4 brain ventricles here, god of the creative principle take place. Om we saw, Ark of Testimony we saw, and then also the Sistine Chapel we saw the picture, the pyramids, and then also here. Same, god of creation. Pyramid. From 1 came 3, from that one point. So there's the argument, which one is that one point, whether it's Brahma, Vishnu, or Lord Shiva. There are evidence of anything. But from that one point, where we can find, from that point, the neural tube began to expand into ventricular body. So they say that point is Brahman. So everybody claims that, every religious, different denomination within the religion, Hindu religion, say God Shiva is that, and equally right so. Equally right so. But at the very end, where everything is taken by God Shiva, so there is a story about he is the one who burns all the bodies. See, the outer dura mater, let's go back to that for a moment. The outer dura mater, which is seen as God Shiva, also known as grey matter, and that is the only one growing in volume. Here is which matches. God Shiva burns the dead bodies and put it all over him. Sounded so absurd and stupid and pathetic. And you can see what was observed here. The most powerful and most scientific and most significant and more powerful when we connect with it. He used to have, look at another scientific observation when we are looking at a historical thing. He used to have, according to the stories in Brahma, in Hinduism, Brahma used to have, Nanmuhan used to have 5 heads. One was taken away. All the Hindus know that story. One was taken away. Here science observed there are 5 brain ventricles, but 5th one is not functional or with very minute little function. That's why they call it 4 brain ventricles, not 5, because 5th one is no longer there. Basically not there. Stories. I'd like you to see, before we go to Mahavishnu in the cerebrum, the great powerful Adisesha. I'd like you to see the Shakti that we saw, the inner dura mater. See the eyes when you are witnessing yourself. Imagine. So they described it, and then people draw a picture according to those descriptions. You can see how beautiful the color of sari that she wears, what she has, and all that. The resplendent form of the Shakti. You can witness it yourself. Meditate over 40 days in solitude. You will see. They will appear because they are within you. But very far distance from where the earth is, further than anything that you can see here, appear to be only this much length. You know. Here you can see how many arms that she has, and how many, and in each one of the arms she has weapons controlling the world. How does she do it? But here, when we observe with the scientific tools, we observe the projection of inner dura mater and the extension of inner dura mater, where they find in the projection what is called as tentorium cerebellar, falx cerebelli, and so many projection. Horizontal fold, sickle form, trident shape, and all that. Here, she has the sword in her hand, to the eyes directly witnessing. Sword in her hand, chakras that destroys most powerful enemies. And the trident, the stories of how they perceive, how they protect the inner world. This is a world larger than anything that exists out there. Equally large. This is just a reflection. That's why what takes place in 6 days will take place inside us, but outside it takes us billions of years. Mahavishnu, according to Vishnu Purana, is he is the most powerful god. Mahavishnu will match the cerebellum and the arachnoid meninges. Let's see. Mahavishnu, in one of the religious texts in Hinduism, described as have 3 forms: Garbhodakashaya Vishnu, Mahavishnu, and let me start. Garbhodakashaya Vishnu, Mahavishnu, and Sridaya Vishnu. And here let me catch my breath. Okay, let's start. Here in Science Observed, there are 3 portions of cerebellum: pontocerebellum, vestibulocerebellum, and spinocerebellum. Not only the 3 portions are there, look at how they match in activities as well. Science Observed, one is the most ancient. In every species they observe one portion. Here it is described, one is the most ancient. The first one is the most ancient. Second portion, Science Observed, control the breathing. This is where I want to come to, for you to actually take control of your body and your health later. Control the breathing, the cerebellum, or alter the breathing according to the scientific observation. Here it is described, through breathing, he changes the world and controls the world. Through breathing, he changes the world and controls the world. Very important. Keep that in mind. Third, Mahavishnu is described as lying on the 1,000-headed Adisheshan snake, 1,000-headed snake called Adisheshan. He's lying on. Here the science will observe the cerebellum is embedded in the arachnoid matter. Cerebellum is in the arachnoid matter, the 3rd meningeal layer, and there is embedded in the myelinated axons, the shape of the myelinated axons around them gives them to the eyes of the enlightened. They see Mahavishnu, the powerful god, lying and controlling the world. This is the world. Everything has to exist within us. Just have a look at here, just quickly, before we look at the Kanda Purana. God Arupadai Murugan, matching the pineal gland. Powerful. Matching the pineal gland. Let's see how to translate, just quickly, because we can see science have only this much of literature on, because it's restricted. It can only see that point and observe there. Here, when you are directly perceiving, and most of the religious texts are direct involvement of the God of creation. The Quran was given to us by the God of creation. The Ten Commandments were given to us by God of creation. The Vedas are held by God of creation. Here, direct involvement, powerful knowledge. It's more descriptive and explanatory when it's directly witnessed, other than mechanical study. But science is so important in order to objectively present the subjective literatures. Science is the most important, the only tool that we have. So it is also the child of the gods, science. What we have and what we don't have is them, because of them. Who we marry, the children we have, they they say, when my grandma was alive, when we were kids, when we were up to mischief, she said, God is watching you. No, I can't see him. She goes, yes, God knows everything. I'm like, no, I'm not going to tell her. She goes, yeah. She goes, they also believe that everything is decided in heaven. Yeah. And then if we had done the meditation as it was in the past, science should have done it too. Because if it's an existing theory, you should see first if there's a practical method. And then you should have followed the practical method to see if there is any flaws in the practical method, or if you can repeat that method. And if we can't repeat it, then you can claim this is also wrong with other means as well, as it has called it as evolution. So see, now it has called it an evolution, and stated is God don't exist, but failed to observe the other way, the natural way of observing. So even though it is decided by here, because they decide how and when, what. So because of that, the financial system we have now, and then the structure that we have now, and all that, taking us to this level, and then now changes take place again. Everything is planned by it. No need to stress. So let's look at the pineal gland. Pineal gland matches God Kartikeya. Same thing will match. There are so many things. God Ganesh, I know it will come as a surprise to you, but God Ganesh will also match another revered entity in the Bible, because there's only one past. So King David and God Kartikeya match the pineal gland. Let's see. They both are described as little boys came into battlefield to help the original king of the God's army. Here, God Indra needed help. Here, King Saul needed help. These little boys came into the battlefield. They both are described with the stars matching each other. The god of the star of Kartikeya, they are the only god that are described with the stars. Star of Kartikeya and then star of David match. Two little boys come to help the same. And then they defeat the most important things. Giants. Here the giant Asura and giant Goliath. Because when you find that 330 million neurons, specific group of neurons, will match the Devas. And then the Asuras also another specific group of neurons. So they take power into, alternatively, according to the will of the gods. They have been in power, like Israelites were ruled by others at times. And here the Devas were ruled by the Asuras at times. Same story, one story. Because they are equally, they are the descendants of the god. One is driven by passion, the other one is driven by process, just dedication. But at times the gods when the gods are involved in the war, they always took the side of the Israelites, so the Devas, same. So they replace, what they do after defeating the giants, they replace gods and the godly beings. Oh, let me start again. Yes, they are replacing. After defeating the giants, here King David replaced King Saul, as the king of the gods' army. Here, he has taken over the reign of god Indra, god Kartikeya. That's when he got the name Senadipati. Senadipati means king of the celestial warriors, the 330 million. Let's see, once they taken over, what they do. They both are described as King David expand beyond the boundaries of Israel was expanded under King David, very first time. Here, Kartikeya is described as he leaves the heaven to build 6 battle camps, 6 battlefields. Arupadai Murugan. He got that name, Arupadai Murugan. Here you will see pineal gland is the master gland of the 6 endocrine organs outside the central nervous system, pineal gland. It has to be the same. And there's, you can see, this is just the simplest thing that you and I can understand. There's so much that science can learn from it. It's going to have field day, field millennium when it starts unfolding all these things to understand what takes place. So important. They expand. And here also, that pineal gland also is projection, expand outside the central nervous system, projection outside the central. Normally they are all within the central nervous system. Extremely powerful. Everything is going to be okay. You need to first have the knowledge of how they are within us and then start to connect with them. Another thing you can see in pineal gland. So who do they replace? Here, who is pineal gland replacing them? Because here they have replaced the original, the hypothalamus. Science observed in the ancient species, it is hypothalamus that has been a prominent organ. But somewhere after many millions of years, suddenly pineal gland came up. And then it's slowly replacing the activities of the hypothalamus. Indra is described as king of the thunder, lightning, and the internal structure in heaven and earth. Here will match the explanation of that. Here it is described because science observed pineal gland for some reason came in the middle. Here it is described why he came into existence, all the wars that took place, how many gods and godly beings were defeated by the king of the giant king, and how who was involved in create for his presence, for him to come. So he has another name in Hinduism. Kuhan lives in the cave. Here you will find deep in the third brain ventricle, he is located. He's got another name, Subver, because pineal gland is seen, because he's red color, pineal gland is seen as a red color. There's a story telling that through the third eye of Lord Shiva, he came out, because the 2 ventricles in some of the religious texts, the 2 brain ventricles are the 2 eyes of the Lord Shiva, and then the third one is the third eye of the Lord Shiva, and then directly connected into further in, you have to go further in. And narrow other. There are 2 other goats, matches each other. There's one past while we are here, while you are going to heal yourself within a short period of time. You might as well also have the knowledge of the gods. They all are within us. Thalamus. Here, science observed the thalamus is seated on the nucleus. Here, he is given the name Ganapati, the king of the very specific group of celestial warriors. Gana, that's why Gana, king of the Ganas. All the high cortical intent have to pass thalamus to reach the higher regions of the brain, the science observed. Here it is described, he is seated in every single temple at the very entrance, because he is described as he is seated at the entrance of heaven. We pray to him first before we enter. There is another being that is described in the Bible. Only through him you can enter the heaven. That is Jesus Christ. Shape doesn't match. But when we put everything together, we will see that other than that, Let's see. They both are described as seated at the entrance of heaven. They are both are described as killed and resurrected, and then seated in the heaven. That's why he got this shape, because he was killed and then he was given this shape when he was resurrected. There it wasn't given. They both are described as born only of mother. We are entering a new world, the old way of thinking with separation and treating each other with contempt. We have entered a new world. You need to understand all those things now. They don't come. It is them who guided me to meditate. Right? It is them who appear. And it is them who speak. If it's only to bless me, it would have taken place differently, not providing me this knowledge. Because they are indicating changes, great changes, and it is coming. We cannot stop it. It has already taken place somewhere else. This is reflection, have to take place here. So, they both are born only of mother. Here he is described as born only of Mother Shakti in Hinduism. Who is Mother Shakti? She is the mother of the cosmos, described as the consort of Lord Shiva, the half male, half female combination, Mother Shakti. Here, Holy Spirit is also it, not she or he. Anyway, even though in the birth of Jesus Christ, Mother Mary is mentioned, Holy Spirit is directly involved in the creation of Jesus Christ. And then we saw the cross behind here. And then she was described as, in the earliest days of creation, she was hovering on the sky. In Genesis, it is described. The Holy Spirit was hovering when the world was created, in the first 6 days. Mother of the cosmos. They both are described as first and the foremost born. Here it is described. He's given a name, Mutta Vinayaka, in Tamil. Tamil is one of the oldest, not one of the oldest classical language still in existence, according to some studies. In that, the name is Mutta Vinayaka. Even the Om is also the Tamil Om, so that if you're Googling and looking, so you understand where the source of information came from. Mutta Vinayaka. Mutta Vinayaka means the first and the foremost born. There, in Bible it is described. Jesus Christ, the Son of Man, the first and the foremost born. The description had to be the same, and it will have to match here the thalamus as well. Because there's only one past, and it has to repeat in order to because of the laws of nature. And it has to be internal as well. It becomes external experience only when we shift our awareness. We can shift our awareness into these four worlds. That is why it is so important that we know that. We are aware of our existence here as an external experience. We shift our awareness. Science can only observe how that taking place mechanically. When the brain frequency goes down below the certain level, it reaches the dream state. It's observing the nature. Then we observe. Everything that we observe, it's a whole new world. But we are entering. Understanding will be clean. So this is the Son of Man, and then the Mutta Vinayaka. They both are described as came out of the sound. Here he is described as, we saw the Pranav mantra, and then brain ventricles and where he is seated. You can see where the thalamus is too. And then the inner dura mater is directly involved, the cerebrum, inner dura mater, and directly involved with the thalamus here. Science will observe that. Same stories. Anyway, came out of the sound. Sound, according to Mandukya Upanishad, Om is the sound. Sound was God. Om is God. And then he is described as came out of the Pranav mantra. Here in John, New Testament, It's described. There was sound. Sound was with God. Sound was God. Jesus Christ was described as one reality, one truth, one past, and become present here. Past become play as present in order to create continuation and variation. The past information is brought in. Past information as the time lapses quickly. The karmic cycle is described as the past. That's why my grandfather, when came into my existence, in my dream, as past lapse, time lapses, past become present, mingling with the present experience, relative experiences, in order for him to go through, so that it is related to myself too, because everything outside exists inside, everything in the past exists within. Therefore, my grandfather in the world, although there are so many different worlds, all those worlds exist within me. So he's in one of them. So I can, because if mind is processing something, they have to be within, local. So there is the process take place. Past lapse. Intermediate. That's why a fish can swim and a bird can fly. Past become present, and present experiences mingle together. Various. Anyway, that's a huge cycle. We'll talk about it another time. So this here, you can see they both came out of the sun. Most importantly, it is described in the religious text only to God Ganesh and Jesus Christ. We ask for forgiveness and confess, then we are redeemed. When we pray to Ganesh, God Ganesh, we pull our ears only to him. We pull our ears and then we tap our head. This is a sign of we are saying sorry. And then ask for forgiveness. And then we are redeemed. And then ask for guidance and removal of obstacles. God Ganesh. Jesus Christ, even today in churches, confession. If you confess to him, you are redeemed. One truth reality. Something take place in some other world in the ancient time. It takes a long time for us to come. Therefore, the confusion and all that has existed. As you can see, all the gods and godly beings are here. If we believe in one God, pray to that God, you will surely be guided. You can see, connect with it. But the laws are there. The laws are there. Don't steal, don't kill, don't hoard wealth, don't be jealous, don't be attached and all that. Because as you can see, that the entire world is here and they are here. And we need to be attached in order to do a job or do a task. Moment after the task, that detachment need to take place because it's unnatural. And we hurt ourselves in others when we do that too. It's unnatural to do so, not to please them. We hurt ourselves. The study of genes, DNA, genome, genetics, and all those things will provide us that we share lives with. And then there we perceive ourselves as not cell bodies, not neurons, not actin filaments. The 72 actin filaments here, the angels, as described in every religious, not every, in Quran, Holy Quran, the 72 actin filaments. From the earth, the man and woman, in the same images here, at the end, because Adam, the forefather of mankind, according to the Bible, he was sent with Eve down to the earth. So at the earth, if that is what took place, and surely that is what took place. So it's just a description, just because the name is given, Adam, and now I am a Hindu, or I don't, just my ancestors, my earliest ancestors. So in the same shape, within the pyramid, as the same as the God of creation, as the grandfather. If he was created in the image of God of creation, he had to be. Brahma, Adam. And let's not go too far deep into things, but just they complete our praise, the others. Let's stay with our goals and then have the respect for others. Love, 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 love. Everyone, all that they said was love. When there is love, there won't be killing. When there is knowledge, there will be peace. No one will hoard wealth. The system will change immediately. The financial system will change to reflect what we know. Not the fittest survive. They, if it's the fittest survive, fittest of the nature is created. And the gaps are filled by, that's why it's not gradual evolution. It's a reflection of what was created in the first 6 days, as it is described in the continuation and variation. There won't be anything outside that first, what was created in the 6 days. They are our basic life. Everything else here is continuation and the variation. It's just a beautiful life. Why, before the nightfall, please confess. Confess in a sense that you don't have to go and say, I'm so sorry, I did this, that. You can do that too. But what happens is there is an organ called amygdala here. Described exactly the description of Chitrakuta in Hinduism. Chitrakuta, as all these beings comes up, he sort them out. So this is the heaven. At the end of the spine is the earth. And then there are Adala Padal. We saw in the pyramids as well. Underneath is the netherworld in the pyramids. According to yoga, the 7 worlds are here from earth to heaven, to this point. And there are 7 other worlds underneath from end of the spine to the feet. It's called Adalapatal, and the netherworlds. So you can see there are cell bodies and all that living there, existing there. So science gives us the experiences. How these cell bodies got there. See how highly scientific it is. How the cell body got there and what they experience and why they are there and what's going to happen to them and how they actually come back into the cycle again. So the justice is done instant. So you don't have to worry about justice being done. Take care of your prayers and connect. Love alone will take you there. Nothing else. And then when we meditate for that long period of time, what happens is you're shutting this. That's what called the Sanjita Karma and Prapta Karma, the karmic cycle. You're shutting this tap. Here is in the tank is the past. That is continually, this is being released. As everybody is subjected to certain amount of existential experiences. So that is being released. That is continually, as the time lapses, that is maturing, like my grandfather came. And then when we shut this tank, and then there's an outlet, that is a continuation and a variation of existential experiences. So as that goes, when we meditate on one single point, we disconnect ourselves with the external world slowly, after 15, 20, 25 days, 30 days, everything in relation that we identified ourselves with. Okay. So this is the box that is continually running. So because of this was coming in, this volume was maintained. Now this is shut when we are meditating in solitude. This is continually being exhausted. So all the past identification, the whatever, intergenerational too. And then that's when we reach the world of the gods. Even there is an identity. Because it is, although it is blissful and supreme, that is also identity. You still focus on that. Even that gets exhausted. Then we reach the self-realized state. That's what the mechanics. I hope that, if you like to practice, you can do that. And then now coming to connecting with all these gods and godliness. So important. Coming back to the amygdala. Let me finish that. Sorry that I jump here and there because, amygdala, Chitrakuta. So between all these parts, they decide, according to the Hindu religious text, he decides who lives. We can see who decided what cell come here, what neuron lives here, and then what neuron live there. How did that nature took place? We need to ask questions. We can say, oh, there's just one cell there. But how did the cell got there? That's the structure. So he goes, amygdala is observed by science as it sorts out permanent, short-term, and long-term memories when we are sleeping. That's why in the Bible it said, before the nightfall, make peace with brethren in the Old Testament. Same here. Ask, making peace is all these unnatural things. So ask for it. Then the redemption before they sought and then send things. Before the nightfall, you ask, their process is different. That's it's a huge process, but in a couple of words, that's how it takes place. So when because you can see the central command in many points of central command. When the body is threatened by an entity from outside, especially, or even the entity who has entered and starting to act differently, what they do is the central command do is if before they take over the control of the central command or the important process commands, they destroy the body themselves to save every other body outside. Because once they take here, because through the intermediary world, there are 19 entrants according to the Om in Mandukya Upanishad. There are 19 entrants to intermediary world and there are 19 entrants to the external world. Through external world, they can enter. So when they see extremely threatened, then there are first warning signs taking place in order to get this, what science observes as, symptoms and all those things. The Bumpada and Sampada, the red cells and the white cells, already described. Everything, the neurons, everything is described. How they fight and how they actually preserve the balance, all. Let's see it through the existential experiences. So they, before they destroy, they send us warning signs. That's when we have higher temperature. That is the reflection of all these things taking place. The high temperature, the running nose, the cough, and all those things. Because you can see they are all centered here. All the information have to come to the center before it can go to the top, and then from the top for it to come down. So by those things that are trying to control or take control of this body, they try to disconnect those points of connections, by changing the breathing, by increasing the temperature. The body does it. Sometimes it is done from inside, outside. So as you have seen, the Mahavishnu, he alters the breathing in order to control. So just connect with them. A very simple practice I want to show you. Just connect with them with that practice. You will see instantly you will be able to take control of your body or allow the body to take control of itself by the beings here, by bringing their attention directly, connecting your attention to them. That you show intent that you want to save this body, not by worrying, not by being fearful, but doing the right thing. Pay attention to your body. Just turn your attention to your body. It's just magical. Within 10 minutes, you will see things start to improve. If you attack it, when you start getting the signs of temperature starting to go up, or you're starting to get cold or cough or something, while we are waiting for medical treatment, start this. Within 10 minutes, you will see the body starting to get relieved immediately. And then you take control over it again, because you can activate. By paying attention to them, you have the command, because at the highest level, you are the commander in chief. But when you lose that state that we saw as the nothingness, when the moment that after that you lose that state, we lose that state because we can't stay there for long. As soon as the moment we identify ourselves as such and such, we are no longer the supreme, because we have become identified. We are identifying ourselves and then dragged down with the emotions. So when we are below that, then the gods and godly beings become our supreme. They are the only one who can guide us back to there again. This is the mechanism. So saying that I am the God, yeah, technically yes, yeah. The moment you say you are the God, that's you are not, you know, because you have identified yourself as something, so you can't be. Same thing. So breathe in when you are. Just I want to show you. Just say start here. Just imagine that you are breathing in through that point here, and then you are breathing out through that point, and then go up an inch. You are breathing in through that point, breathing out through that point. Just two. Count it. You don't even have to count it two. Inch by inch, going through here, and then inch by inch. Just imagine you're going breathing in through that and breathing, going all the way through here, all the way down through the spine, and coming through the front again, and come back to this point. Within one cycle, you'll find the blocked nose is gone. In the morning, if you are sneezing, if you have sneeze attacks in the morning, that will be gone. Within one cycle. Sometimes it might take 2 or 3 cycles, but what, 10 minutes maximum? You will find it's not magic. You are magic. You know, connect with your magic, and then take care. Love, love, love. My grandma was right. They know everything. So anything that's unnatural is going to put us through experiences. Sometimes they are not desirable. If we do something unnatural, it's going to put us through experiences that are not desirable. Then we can we need to learn to love. We have the mission how to love. That is the love for our parents, love for our brothers and sisters and our children. That's the mission, that we need to share the same kind of love with the universe. That is natural. I thank you so much for your time, and I appreciate that you have been here. And may God bless you with great knowledge, happiness, and peace of mind. There are so many things that is in science. Science may people think that they are so clever in the sense of, but if you look at it, the sun, the moon shape is here. The planets are here within us. Astrology is one of the most powerful knowledge based on this. There it's geocentric. Earth is square within us. At the bottom. When you observe, that's how it was in the earliest moment. Science observe now, and then think that it is how it was in the earliest moment. Even this god Kartikeya, he was that powerful. He changed. He changed the planetary system according to the Kantapranam here. He swapped them around. So there is a historical. The religions are historical evidence and historical universal history. We have to study it carefully, and we don't need to separate each other in the name of religion. You can see how can we say, oh, I don't want you, get out. They're all carrying out their own task. Whoever you are related to, may them bless you with peace of mind, good health, and happiness. Thank you.